Hello, and welcome to the Den of the Monster Ox. Today we are back with another story review, and this time we are doing Mass Effect 1, start of probably the best game franchise ever, in my opinion. It easily has one of the best stories that I've come across in recent years, depending on how the Horizon series, the Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, those might come to finish as a close second, but Mass Effect still has it for me. So, what are my thoughts on it? Let's start out with the game synopsis. The game is set in the year 2183 CE, 35 years after humans discovered the ruins of an ancient spacefaring race called the Protheans on Mars. With the technology from these ruins, humanity learned the secrets of Mass Effect physics and Element Zero, unlocking faster than light travel. Humans also discovered the mass relay network that threaded the galaxy, permitting instantaneous passage across thousands of light years. Humanity began its journey among the stars, encountering various alien races and establishing itself on the galactic stage. The player takes on the role of Commander Shepard on board the SSV Normandy. A routine mission to recover a Prothean beacon on Eden Prime goes awry when the commander is attacked by Geth forces led by a rogue Turian Spectre named Sarian Arterius, who are also after the beacon. When the commander locates the beacon, it activates, imparting strange visions of synthetics slaughtering organics in Shepard's mind before becoming inactive. It turns out that Saren is trying to find a device called the Conduit that will lead to the return of the Reapers, an ancient machine race believed to be behind the Protheans' demise. Shepard becomes the first human Spectre and is given command of the Normandy with orders to hunt down Saren. Now it is no longer just about bringing one man to justice, but also to save a galaxy from extinction. Alright, so we need to get the spoiler-free version of the review out of the way. And based on my intro, you can probably guess that it's going to be ranked very, very highly. Probably also based on what you saw in the thumbnail. There should be no surprise that pretty much every single section is going to have amazing things. Protagonist. Commander Shepard is the one you play as. Hot take. He's not, or he or she, you can pick whether Shepard is male or female, isn't actually the greatest protagonist I've ever come across. I actually think Aloy from the Horizon series is a little bit better, but as it's not just Commander Shepard, you've got the whole team, and as a team, so good. Caden, Ashley, Liara, Garrus, all of them absolutely amazing. Really, really good. The antagonists, you got to leave room to grow. So Saren and the Geth, really good. A little bit of room for improvement, but not a lot. Environmental storytelling, not as good as as I've seen in other games. There are definitely games that have better environmental storytelling aspects. The only real environmental storytelling that you'll find in the game, it comes in towards the end where you're going through some major ruins, and you see statues and stuff of ancient races. I mean, not a lot. And the story development, very solid pacing with, the story as a whole progresses very well. Side missions are a little iffy at times, but yeah, overall, really well done. So, with that out of the way, this concludes our spoiler-free version of the review. So, yeah, if you're wanting to avoid spoilers, now's your time to tap out. Otherwise, let's get into it. All right, so let's start with our protagonists. Easily the best strength of Mass Effect is its wide cast of characters, both its protagonist group, its neutral characters, as well as its antagonist characters. So let's just break down the most important in the protagonist group, and then we'll kind of work through some of the others as we go along. Commander Shepard. As I already said, Commander Shepard really does not have much character progression. Commander Shepard starts out as an elite soldier that's being picked out to be the representative of the peak of what humanity has to offer, this wider galactic community, being elected to be a Spectre. So when you're already at the top, there's not a lot left to go. Other than, in the first 10 minutes of the game where you're just finding out that you're being, that you're applying to that position. And then you essentially get it within 15, 20 minutes of the start of the game. So not a lot of character growth there. But Commander Shepard shines in her, depending on which one you choose, their interactions with the rest of our cast. So there's a lot. So just a couple sentences maybe for each of them. Kaidan Alenko, experienced soldier, was part of some experiments, didn't have much more, in my opinion. Definitely one of the weaker characters that we have in our crew. Ashley Williams, I like her a little bit better than Kaidan, personally. She just, especially as we get into Mass Effect 3, she has a lot more character growth than Kaidan does, a lot more development, like you find out more about her background, stuff like that. So I like, but Ashley, she's a newer soldier. Anyway, Liara T'Soni. I'm trying to keep this to Mass Effect 1. Basically, she's a alien that she is just barely coming out of her adolescence, even though she's, I think, 150 years old by the time that we start Mass Effect 1. It's somewhere around there. But a very solid character, kind of intended to be your Mary Sue of the game, but very fun. More to say about her in Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. Garrus Vakarian. Best bro. Absolutely love Garrus Vakarian. He is so good. A lot of his development comes depending on your influence, whether you kind of push him to be on the straight and narrow, like stick to the rules, or if you encourage him to go down the path of more of a rogue, do what needs to be done to get the job done, kind of a thing. Anyway, either way, he's still amazing. More to say about him as we go through the games as well. Talizora Naraya. She is a fun character. She is your little sister. Oh man, again, I'm trying to keep everything to just Mass Effect 1. She kind of similar to Liara. She's just going through her coming of age custom of her race and people. Very tech. She's your tech specialist. She knows anything and everything that there is to know about the Geth, which comes in really handy, seeing as the Geth play a huge part in the story of Mass Effect 1. And she'll make another massive return in Mass Effect 3. Wonderful character. Erdnot Rex. He's a bounty hunter. And he evolves into, I shouldn't say evolve. His character progresses through the course of the game. You kind of show him what a good leader is. And if he makes it into Mass Effect 2, you see the fruits of that. But absolutely love the character. And that's so those are your main cast. Those are the ones that you can those are your companions that you can choose to bring with you on missions, all that kind of stuff. Everyone else, top characters to mention: Dr. Chakwas. She's your medic on the ship. Joker, he's your pilot. Hilarious. Love Joker. David Anderson, he was your old senior officer, or CO, and he just wonderfully voice acted. Great character. Admiral Hackett, you don't every time you hear from Admiral Hackett, you just get the feel of the authority that he commands. Anyway, across the board, all of the characters, major and minor, very well done. We'll get more into how they interact, how they evolve when we get into story development. So, at the end of that, 6 out of 5. It is so good. Antagonists. The most important thing to know to be able to judge this properly is we have a very early introduction to Saren. He is an alien that he's obviously up to no good when you first meet him. He's trying to blow up one of your colonies, and he shoots someone that was supposed to be an ally. So you just know that he's the bad guy right off. But you don't really understand why or what's going on. And that's when you get the vision that's mentioned in the game synopsis, where you get this vision of the Reapers. And the Reapers are introduced as a concept in Mass Effect 1. And we fight one Reaper at the end of Mass Effect 1. And we defeat Saren, who's basically been taken over by this Reaper. It would take a while to get into the whole concept of indoctrination and how that works in the Mass Effect franchise, but there's a certain element of Saren is no longer himself. Anyway, but you have this introduction to the Reapers that they are out to get us, and they are coming, which then we get into more of that in Mass Effect 2, and then they finally arrive in Mass Effect 3. So we'll go into how they evolve in the story reviews for each of those. Anyway, so Saren, I'm kind of mixed feelings. Like, I wish that there was a bit more to, like, you could see kind of more of him before he was indoctrinated and just see his slow descent into madness. But they do a good enough job of showing that he wasn't always a nice person to begin with, that I'm kind of willing to just let it go. The Geth, they're just the machine servants that the Reaper basically gives Saren to help Saren, since Saren's only one guy, sends him the Geth to be able to help get stuff done. Will the Geth become a much larger part of the story towards the tail end of Mass Effect 2, and then significantly more in Mass Effect 3. So we'll be back to talk about them. Overall, same thing that I said about the protagonists. These characters are so well written that you genuinely feel like they are an imminent threat and that they do need to be taken down. So while they are a bit cliched, the artistry that went into their creation was so well handled that I can't really dock them for being so cliche. Just, oh, we're so evil, we're here to kill everybody. So overall, 5 out of 5. Love them in Mass Effect 1, and especially what their legacy and everything is as we go on. All right, environmental storytelling. This is the one section that I really had a hard time with my rating. Just because it's not what I would normally it's not where I would want it to be. But at the same time, the environment is so full of different things between all the new characters that are in these different new environments, that I'm kind of willing to overlook the fact that there's not much story in them directly. That there's just no time for it. If they were to try to fill the environment with storytelling, then you would just be lost with like, do I need to go talk to this character, or do I need to go walk down this hallway to get this piece of juicy story? So I'm kind of mixed. The only exception to the environmental storytelling being pretty much non-existent comes towards the end of Mass Effect 1, where you're going through the ruins on Ilos? Yeah. Where there's these giant statues of the races that came in cycles before. This is where we learn about the cycle that the Reapers have been, where they come every 50,000 years and basically wipe out all sentient life in the Milky Way galaxy every 50,000 years. And even most of that lore is told to you as part of the conversation you have in order to progress. So I don't really feel like it's really all that much. Anyway, so all that being said, I'm just going to land on a 4 out of 5. It was like, the environments were good. They do help build the environments that would raise certain races. Like, oh, this is a desert area. Yeah, this would be home to this type of people. So yeah, just not as high as I would have wanted, but I'm kind of okay with it. And now we get to story development, which, along with our wonderfully fleshed out cast of characters, this is what really sets Mass Effect apart for me. This is what makes it the best game trilogy of all time. For me, anyway. So we need to break down Paragon versus Renegade. Like I said with our protagonists, that it's the interactions between Shepard and the rest of the cast that makes them feel so fleshed out and so good. You'll have choices as Commander Shepard in how you want your conversation to go. You can be a Paragon, which is I am a soldier that is looking to help people. I am here to make sure that everyone comes out of this alive, and I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that the right side wins the day. Then you have Renegade Shepard, which is, I have seen too much failure for me to allow anything to get in my way. I will, like, there is no rule that I will not break to make sure that, like, it's the whole concept of the ends justify the means. And both are super compelling, especially in Mass Effect 2. You get some wonderful dialogue options for Renegade Shepard, and then at the same time, that conversation for Paragon Shepard is equally amazing. Personally, I've played mostly Paragon Shepard. It just matches how I feel Shepard would play, but I know of several Renegade Shepard players out there. I don't necessarily understand them, but it's out there. So you have these delineating lines of development. The actual missions, super linear, really fun. You get a lot of dialogue between your different characters that you bring with you on these missions. But the pacing is just so good, except for like some of the side missions. Honestly, some of the side missions really definitely have that, oh, this is a side mission feel. But the main story is extremely well paced, very well done. Now, why, if I haven't sold you yet on what makes this such a good game, we get to the fact that your choices have consequences. I've seen games where you make a choice and then that choice will have an effect later in the game. Like, oh, this character doesn't live to see this. And when I first played Mass Effect 1, I was like, okay, these are some fun consequences. But then you get into Mass Effect 2. Then you get into Mass Effect 3. And that one person that was a side character that you met for a grand total of 30 seconds in one mission comes back in Mass Effect 3. It saves you a significant amount of time, and he basically rallies a whole group of specialized Solarians to join your cause if he survives. If he doesn't survive Mass Effect 1, well, he's not there to rally the troops to your cause. So that's just a simple example. There's entire missions that disappear and reappear depending on the choices that you make. There are so many minute differences that your choices can make that I find myself coming back and replaying this game so many times just to see, if I do this differently, what impact will this have down the line? And I haven't even done all of them. All the different choice options that there are. And I've got almost, where am I at now? I think close to 4,000 hours between the three games. And I only just found out that there is a way to make it so that one of the characters that I love, that in 99% of playthroughs dies towards the end of Mass Effect 3, there is a way to make it so that he survives. I had no idea. I've done so many different playthroughs, making so many different choices, and I still have stuff that I'm just now realizing that are options. So, overall, the way that the story is handled, the way it develops, the way that, between the fact you've got choices between Paragon, Renegade, the fact that your choices have consequences, just with everything, you've got yourself another 6 out of 5. Easily. All right. And with that, that gives us a final score of 10.5 out of 10. A little bit above. I mean, no real surprise for me. Like, was it perfect? No. Um, but was it so expertly crafted overall? Yeah. Um, I'm so glad that they did the Legendary Edition. If you have not picked it up, I believe it is now available on PC, PS4, possibly PS5 as well as the Xbox. So all platforms it's available. It is very much worth the $60. I picked up each game individually, paid for all of the DLCs individually, and paid what was essentially 6 times more. And I felt that that was worth. So getting all of that bundled together in one $60 payment, that's a no-brainer to me. Totally worth the cost. They did a wonderful job of redoing it. So I'd highly recommend going and getting it. Do a playthrough for yourself. See what endings you get, and then come join me on Twitch. I'll hopefully be starting Twitch up again soon. Twitch.tv/themonsterox. Now that we're getting into summer, my work schedule does look like it'll be changing enough that I'll be able to do a regular weekend stream schedule. So we'll see how that ends up going. If not, Discord is still an option. I'll leave the link down in the description. Otherwise, for now, if you agreed with my review, please leave it a like and subscribe if you want to see more that'll be coming up soon. I'll be doing Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, and Mass Effect Andromeda, which that'll probably be better than you may have. If you've played the game, I hopefully will make some arguments for why the story is better than you may think. I'm not saying it's as good as the trilogy, but I think it's better than you'll think it was. And with that, thank you for joining me here in the den. I will see you in a couple weeks as we come back for the next story review.